I've been on several Mexico mission trips dating all the way back through high school. Well, when I was in high school, it was mostly just my friends. Like it was a youth group thing and seemed like a good time. And obviously, like at that point, I grew up in the church. Believed in Jesus and all that, so it wasn't entirely friends. But without the friends, I probably wouldn't have gone. Initially, for most of my trips, run some sort of VBS. Probably 70% of my missions trips run VBS for worked with churches, done construction projects and that kind of stuff on the side, but that was like a secondary piece to it. Challenges and difficulties vary across the board. Personally, I'm just going to stick with my personal challenges because leading trips and all that comes with its own challenges. But personal challenges range from getting sick and freaking out about driving a 10, 12-hour drive home while being sick. You can figure that one out for yourself. And so that, and then evangelizing like to people and praying for people, stepping way out of my comfort zone. That was always a big one for me. And then, oh, well, there's been a couple trips I've gone on where we've had no translator. And so being in charge of a group and having no translator means a lot of times you have to try and figure things out yourself, and I had limited Spanish, and so really just trying to get buffed up on all my Spanish before that trip. The thing that surprised me most on the trips are the kids that I didn't think would engage as much as they did, and the ones that I would go down kind of reluctant to bring a student, and because I think, oh, this student never takes anything seriously, never engages with the group, or multiple different challenges I may have had with that kid throughout the year, and then to see a completely different student at all down in Mexico, and see, not all the time, but a lot of times seeing some of that come back across the border with us and engage with the group differently as a result of coming on the trip. I've seen God working in multiple ways. Seen people come to a faith in Christ. I've seen people reach out in prayer and get healed and all sorts of stuff. But I think one of the most notable experiences with all this is that when you go down to Mexico, a lot of times, or I talk in Mexico because it's the only short-term mission trip I've ever been on, but going a short-term mission trip at all, you behave differently in your faith, I think, in that you kind of expect God to move in a ways that you don't expect God to move here. And it's kind of baffling and annoying how we do that, where we expect God to do stuff and we have faith that He will act and we expect his kingdom to come, and we expect his work to be done, and we actually see it happen, and sometimes we don't have that expectation of him here. Ranging from high school to adult with kids, usually it just makes me think a little bit more soberly about my own life here. And so when I was in high school, it's just all sorts of things you take for granted in high school, and and all sorts of ways that you live that you may realize that other people live this way, but it doesn't really impact you until you go be around that or live it for a week yourself. With kids, it's more so just realizing what a blessing we have here, and the what I'm able to raise my kids in the environment my kids are able to be raised in, and it's just incredible blessing.
How did the trips affect your relationship with God?
I think kind of goes back to my former answer in that when you go down to a short-term mission trip and expect God to move, that you really challenge yourself to expect Him to move here. And so I've seen that in my own life, where I'll pray expectantly and I'll act expectantly of God. I think it's a great place to see the church act in a community, a church act on mission, and to see a little bit more the camaraderie that we miss sometimes in the U.S. and then challenge ourselves to step out of our comfort zone for sure, and act on what God commands us to do in the Bible.